Hi all, welcome to the Marquee Matchups for the 30th of January. Lots of games to feature from the leagues, but also some cup games to mention as well. So if you can smash likes, be awesome, sub to the channel if you're new. Follow me on Twitter at GTheLegend, all the links are down below for publishing the channel and social media links as always. And the predictions league, we're looking really good in terms of the month, but also overall, and I'm glad you've enjoying that. And also remember to check out everyone involved in that, guys. Check their links all down in the description below as always. So first route this week is two from France, Rennes versus Guingamp, which is a 5 out of 10, but Monaco versus Lyon, which is the one that I am mainly featuring in the overlay, which is a 7 out of 10. Monaco versus Lyon. Lyon are really fighting this season for getting back into like the league title contention, because they were up there for so many seasons. But for how this route could kind of play out, is 78, 79 rated. I would say 1 Lyon, 1 Monaco is probably the safest bet. I've went Gazal and Marcelo, and they're probably going to be the two common players. Monaco, you can't really go for Miete anymore because he's now left to Bordeaux on loan, I believe. But same for Congolo. But you can maybe look at Jemerson as well and Begnaglio. And Lyon, you can also maybe look around like Raphael as another example, and also Mariano up top. EPL this week, there's Liverpool Spurs and Spurs versus Manchester United. I think one's a midweek game. I think Liverpool Spurs is a Tuesday night game or a Wednesday night game, but could still be an option. But personally, Spurs versus Manchester United is the main one I am going for. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Smart options like Manchester United would be like Carrick, Jones, Rojo at very highest, Romero as well. Spurs would be like Lamela and Cool. Well, not in Cool now, but you've had him previously, Trippier, Davis as well. But 78, 79 rated, as long as you've got, I've just built an EPL squad and I just take it from there. But they're not going to be expensive because the prices are so low at the moment that it's fairly easy and fairly straightforward to put together. As long as you've got everything for an EPL team with these players, then I would say you're more than covered. Italy, there is options with Bologna versus Fiorentina. It's the only option of the Calcio that I've seen this week. It is a derby, but I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 because personally, I don't think they're going to do it. They could go a Calcio A game, but there isn't really anything with these two that seems to suggest. And also the league in general. Bologna recently featured, which was a random shout, but still 78 rated. As long as you're covered to that, and then cover a Bologna and Fiorentina player. There's like Fiorentina, you would look at like Babacar as an example. That's who I've kind of went with, but it's not too difficult, and I don't see too much hype in this particular route, in my personal opinion. Even maybe once it goes live, you never know. Then over to Spain, we have several options of Getafe versus Leganes, which is a Madrid derby. Then you have also got Barcelona versus Espanyol, and then Atletico versus Valencia. So for that, you have 3 options, but Barcelona versus Espanyol is the one that stands out because it is a 7 out of 10, but it's also a Barcelona derby. Espanyol's stadium is like in the heart of the city. Barcelona's is not far away, but it's fairly quick to get to both stadiums. But regardless, nonetheless, Barcelona, you probably look at Alex Vidal, he'll be the most common shout. Espanyol could look at Javi Fuego, for example, but fairly straightforward. 78 to 8, I wouldn't imagine they'll go 80, 79 is most realistic, and I would say cover a few rares, cover a few nations. As long as you've got a Spanish influx, I would say you're going to be covered. It's just a case of between nations and rares. Then over to Belgium, we have got Brugge versus Charleroi, which I'm only giving as a 4 out of 10. The reason being, despite being deemed a derby and other things, I know we've got a Pro League route happening just now. I think they're going to avoid this one. I feel because they chose the route that they picked for Belgium was the 26th of December, which was a random pick, but when they had 2 notable games in Belgium this week, which was a bit of odd. So unless something's up, then we could see another option in Belgium suddenly appear. But regardless, as long as you've got a 74 rated Belgium Pro League squad, I would say you should be fairly covered, and then just work around the teams within the league that fit for Bruges and Charleroi. Then over to Denmark, we have Copenhagen versus Brondby. This featured the last time these two featured, and I gave it a 6 out of 10. I don't 100% fancy it happening, but it would surprise me if it happened. The man that everyone will probably go for is Zika. Now, in terms of rating, I think it's between 68 to 70 rated. What I would say is I've put in the overlay as 69 just as a safety net. I can easily bump up to 70. I just put other players in just to kind of keep it a bit lower, and just shoot the rares as well. I didn't have as many rares as I thought I had within the league, but as long as you've got 2 or 3 players all told from the teams, you should be covered. Leeds versus Cardiff is a bit of a rivalry for what I understand. I can't remember last year or earlier in this year if I mentioned it at all, but still, regardless of this particular route, I would say if you go of like Cardiff, there's not too much I can necessarily think of. Like Bamba, he's probably one. Leeds, you'd probably look at Pontus Jansson as an example, Wiedwald as another, and Samu Sayaz. But it's 74 rated, but I'll give it a 5 out of 10. I feel there are stronger options this week for the marquee matchups, especially from other leagues in general for this week. So keep that in mind with your selections. Then over to Greece, we have Olympiakos versus AEK Athens. This is the League One. I believe they played in the Cup last week, so be aware of that. I always just build an all league team. It just seems most logical, and then I just take it from there. And it's obviously they're not going to make it an all hellish league. They'll probably actually maybe put a few players in. I just build a full league just to see what I can get as an overall, which is 75 rated. I would probably imagine it'll go like 72 to 74, maybe even 75 at the very highest. It's not going to be too difficult, and it should be fairly cheap as well to put together. Like Siba, Pardo, El Abdalouli, Emeniki, they're all fairly cheap. You can buy them for min price, it's crazy. Then Gijon versus Oviedo is a Spanish derby. It's one of the lesser ones. If you don't really follow Spanish football, apparently it is a lesser derby. For me, I was kind of struggling on like who was standing out. Obviously, Gijon have a lot of goals, and the league's got a decent amount of goals as well that you can still kind of work with. Like Ramos is like Adrian Ramos, the striker. Javi Varas is of like Granada. Same for Gijon is not Adrian Ramos, that's Granada. Sorry, folks. But in terms of the league, you could build up an ample amount of goals to kind of supplement the rating, and then just go a mix of bronzes and silvers. It wouldn't exactly hurt, but it depends how you want to approach it. And Italy have Chiavari versus La Spezia. Now I've given this as a 4 out of 10. It's Virtuous Intala, I think, is what Chiavari's proper name is. If you go and like Google it, I think when you put Chiavari into Google, it doesn't let you find it. I had to do a bit of digging, and what you find is it's a bit of a derby between them both when they're in this division. But for me, the goals of Gastaltello and Rajkovic, the 2 centre backs basically, and then just kind of covering the right mid is Chiavari, and I think it's one of the goalie was the La Spezia. Then over to Saudi League with Al-Ittihad versus Al-Ahli. Same rules usually apply. I always like to cover the gold first, and then cover where required for bronzes and silvers, and then of course we try and aim for 70 rate. That's what I always like to aim as a safety net with any of the leagues. Fit Facides, Al Soma, Carbon, Carlos Eduardo, and Caraba, the left mid. These kind of players are the ones. Caraba is the one you kind of want to aim for, because he will probably go up a little bit if they want to do this, and then Fit Facides is a smart option as well, because of right away that you're covering 2 nations, but they could easily go a Saudi influenced route, so be aware of that. Then over to Argentina with San Lorenzo versus Boca Juniors. This is a current going into just now. It's a top of the table clash. It's top 2 now. Depending if come the game time these were top 2, then it could go up from a 5. Now I've given it a 5 for now. It could easily go up to a 6, but I'm not 100% convinced. I would say personally, looking at it, you're looking at around, just go the golds. Just go the golds in the league, like Belushi, Blandi, Bora, Gago, Casco, Moretti, etc. As long as you go the golds, and then just a mix of silvers as well. I feel as long as you cover a high enough rating, it just covers your safety net. They may hold out for Boca Juniors River Plate later in the year. Then over to Austria, as the last route of the week is Rapid Vienna versus Austria Vienna, the Vienna derby. We've not had it yet, and because this is the only real notable derby in Austria, this could sneak in. Now I'm giving it as a 6. I'm not 100% fully putting my bets into it as a 7. The way I'm feeling this week, I'm kind of the mindset where of 3 of the lesser routes could sneak in as your 4th option. So like I've got 3 more convinced routes, but my other smaller routes I'm not 100% convinced, but I still feel quite strong on the 6. As long as you've got about a 60, 70, 78 squad, go for the boer and then just kind of cover between the 2 teams, you'll find yourself sorted. Cup games to mention are PSG Vs Rennes, Millonarios vs Nacional, which is the Colombian Super Cup I believe, Milan vs Lazio, Juventus vs Atalanta, and Feyenoord vs PSV. So hopefully that gives you an idea as well of what to cover. But my main 4 for this week is Barcelona, Espanyol, Monaco vs Lyon, Spurs vs Manchester United, and as a 4th option I would personally look at probably Rapid Vienna vs Austria Vienna, with impetus on Copenhagen Brondby and Olympiakos vs AEK as well. Hopefully you find this useful. As always, let me know in the comments down below what you fancy for this week. Smash likes as always, sub to the channel if you're new, and I will catch you all later.